Hi everybody, Scott Pritchard here in Montreal with the CSE. I'm here today with Pierre Ayotte, who's the president of Terra Nova. And I'd like to ask you, Pierre, how did you get involved with this company? What was your background before you started Terra Nova?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I always like to take advantage of the opportunity to talk about Terra Nova and my other passions. So thank you very much for having me. So why did it get involved in Terra Nova is the question. I started off as an investor. I got a call one day and says, what do you think? About 2.5 years ago, how would you like to invest? And there was opportunities. Mining in cannabis was starting to pop up, and people were talking about it in the streets, in the papers. And I thought, wow, maybe I'll invest in cannabis. So I decided to invest in a company called Terra Nova, which had the vision right from the day go to go public. And that was another feature that I wanted. I wanted to invest in a company that was going to be a startup and go public. So
you were traditionally more a private company man, as we say in the business?
I did some time in the big companies like General Electric and others, Lockheed, all in aerospace. And later on, I started doing turnaround. I started turning companies around. So I would get a call from an investment fund. I'd go in, I'd turn them around, and I work a lot with the Quebec investment community, but venture capital companies like CSN or FSTQ or Desjardins Capital that is.
Yeah, and nice of you to come over to our side.
Yes, well, yeah, I'm excited to. In fact, that was one of my things, on my bucket list. I wanted to make sure that I actually brought one company public, so that was...
you're going to do more than one, maybe.
Oh, yeah, well, let's do one very successful.
Well. Exactly.
And let's grow it really high and big, and let's see, let's make a lot of money.
So you're in the right space. Cannabis is very, very popular. Again, how did you get into the cannabis market?
Well, like I said, I first got a call to be an investor, and then eventually I got a call to see if I'd take over as the CEO of the company. And I had to do a lot of soul searching. Since the age of 16, I've been in aerospace. But I start thinking, cannabis is very much a regulated industry, just like aerospace is. I'm a big fan of the Smart Factory 4.0, so how to digitize our processes. And I thought there was room for me to participate in a company that was emerging in a new industry. And to start from a clean sheet of paper and do it right from the beginning.
Right.
So that's basically why I got involved. I saw that I had a good fit for my background in the industry. It was an amazing industry, and then there's some personal reasons as well behind that.
So maybe you could talk a bit about that. I see you've got a V pin on your lapel here. Maybe you could explain what that is.
Yeah. This is a new foundation. It actually emerges from the Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue's foundation. And it's become the Quebec Foundation for the Veterans.
Right.
So I'm on the board of directors. And why? Well, my father was a veteran, I was a veteran, and my son was a veteran. But my son is the one that actually paid the price the dearest. He did a tour in Afghanistan. He came back with PTSD. And my involvement in the foundation was, in fact, to deal with that issue, because we have way too many veterans in the streets. We have way too many young veterans who committed suicide. So we can't sit by the sideline and watch the parade go by. And cannabis is an interesting product. I don't preach to say, I'm not a doctor, and I don't preach to say that cannabis will cure PTSD, but I do believe there's enough evidence that cannabis will help, and is helping my son, for one. So there's a way of, it got very personal for me, and we're orienting Terra Nova towards the the scientific and the medical side of the cannabis industry.
Great. So talk a little bit more specifically about Terra Nova and what your end products are going to be.
Well, when we started Terra Nova, I took over in last February. I decided that we're gonna do it right. We're gonna do a strategic plan. And the first question that came to mind is that everybody was asking is, are you going to be recreational or medical? And it was the wrong question to be asking. The real question to be asking is, why are people going to be taking cannabis? What's the motivation? And you find out that when you start doing a lot of reading on the subject, that the motivations is not to get high. If you're even taking cannabis for recreation. It's because you have a migraine, you have a chronic pain, you have insomnia, you have a sleep disorder. So those 4 reasons alone account for 80% of the motivations for taking cannabis.
It's a huge market.
And we see it, there was when we...
We're not getting younger, are we?
it's antique blonde. It's not gray. No, you're right. And but it's exciting time because, and unfortunately, cannabis. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence there that says that it has great medical qualities. But the problem, of course, is those are all anecdotal. What we need to do is get the attention of the scientific community, get the attention of the medical community, and we need to invest in research and development, and we need to bring it to the forefront. And there's enough evidence to tell us that there's some golden eggs there. There's an incredible opportunity, both from a society perspective. The cost of opioids and the cost of our current medications and the consequences of those medications is serious. We need to address it. If cannabis can help with that, by golly, we got to look into it.
Sure.
And so for all those reasons.
Right. So what stage are you at now? Have you built out your facility?
Well, now you're gonna see the engineer in me. I mean, I'm a risk-averse type of guy. I like to build a company not on the wave of an industry, but on strong fundamentals. So we build what we call a certification research and development unit.
Yes.
We went public just to give you an idea. We decided to build small, about 5,000 square feet, and have a place where we can develop recipes. We can digitize the whole process, control automation wherever we automate every element of production. And we wanted to do it small scale, so we didn't take a whole bunch of risk. The big guys who grow 165,000 square feet in greenhouses, and then you build it and they will come. Well, I'm not a big believer of that. So we built it small, and we got rewarded big. We went public on the 10th of December of last year. We had our letter of readiness from Health Canada on February of 2018. We designed our facility, we built it, we went public on the 10th of December. On the 22nd of December, just before Christmas, we submitted our evidence letter package to Health Canada. And 2 months later, contrary to what a lot of people told us, we actually got 3 licenses. We were the 3rd one in Quebec, and only 3 in Quebec. We had a license to culture, transform, and sell medical. So we were really happy. But I think it's because we had the forethought of controlling our risk and chewing up the right size of business that we wanted.
Can I ask you a question, Pierre? I live here in Quebec, and I'm very curious of why it's taken so long for Quebec business people, for the community at large to embrace cannabis, and especially in the business sense. There are very few public companies, as you know, that have got in the space compared to Ontario and BC. Do you have any insights for us, for our listening audience?
It's a great question, and it's probably a complicated answer that probably require a lot of people to debate over. But just sitting on the sidelines, it's not clear. I mean, fundamentally, why it is. Well, for one reason. It's a business that requires a lot of cash to get started.
Right.
And in fact, the banks have not stepped up to the plate as of today. So So then your next, in Quebec, what people do is they turn towards venture capital,
Right.
Institutions like le Fonds de Solidarité des Travailleurs du Québec, and all those guys. Well, those guys are risk averse as well.
Yeah.
So there's not a strong culture of going public in Quebec,
Right.
unfortunately,
Yes.
and for reasons that I
There's
think they're
obviously been a
historical.
lot of money in the rest of Canada being invested
I think
publicly.
the good news is we have a lot of strong institutional companies like le Fonds, la CSN, la Caisse de dépôt, and Desjardins Capital de Risque. But that's also a weakness because now we're dependent too much on them. And when they decide not to play in a game
Right.
called Cannabis, then you slow down and everything. Now you're looking for private friends' money and all that, and that will carry you just so far. So of course we associated with some great people on our board. Right off day one, we had amazing guys who had the experience. Louis, yes, who's there.
Louis Doyle.
Louis Doyle, who's with La Bourse, Montreal. I mean, he's an institution in himself in Quebec, and of course, so we brought him on the board, and we listened to what he had to say. We had others that had the experience in the mining industries and gone public. So we surrounded ourselves with a lot of talent. And in fact, that's the key to success,
Absolutely.
right? It's
Yes.
You never make money saving on.
Well, Louis sure
on
does
talent.
know the public markets. I just want to ask one last question from an investing point of view. Is now the time to invest in Terra Nova?
Yes, I think so. Well, in fact, let me say it in a different way. It's always the time to invest in Terra Nova, and I'll tell you why.
Fair
Because
enough.
we are moving. We're moving fast. We've decided that, and we're we have a 6-phase plan. We're executing it. So far, execution has been flawless. So if you want to look at our track record so far, we've actually achieved things that nobody thought we would do, and we achieved them and achieved them well. But more importantly is where we're going. We're going to invest 8% of all our sales in research and development. We're mobilizing the research and the scientific community and the medical community right now. We're having talks with 3 universities in Ontario and Quebec. We're talking to Genome Quebec, Genome Canada. We think that the success of the industry comes from the fact that if we can mobilize the scientific and the medical community in the right way, Canada is provided an incredible opportunity. We are provided we track legalization of cannabis across the world, and that graph changes every day.
Yeah.
Every day, and we're at the forefront of that wave. And if we could mobilize the scientific and the medical community to come on board and participate in that, it's not being successful in Montreal, or it's not about being successful in Quebec. It's not even about being successful in Canada. It's about being successful on the world front.
Absolutely.
On the world stage.
Becoming a world leader.
So
that's it.
with the help of the CSC, that's what we're going to do. And I mean, I said it all along. I don't want to be competitive. I want to be dominant. So that's what we're going to do.
Pierre, thank you very much for spending the time with us.
It was a pleasure. And anytime.
Good luck with Terra Nova on the CSC. Thanks again, Pierre.
Has nothing to do with luck. Thank you.
Hi, it's Grace from the CSC reminding you to make sure to follow us on social media for the latest updates on our listed companies as well as new listing alerts. For more in-depth content, be sure to pick up our free quarterly magazine, Public Entrepreneur, available online at thecsc.com.